Next, Indonesia leader went from poison pill to affable grandpa. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos sells shares worth over $4 billion. Ukraine claims to have sunk Russian landing ship in drone attack. Myanmar's struggling junta to start drafting young people as soldiers. North Korea fires more cruise missiles in latest weapons test. Year of the Dragon doesn't bode well for China's declining population.
Hello, I'm Wei Li. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Thursday, February 15th, and here are your top stories. Once described by U.S. diplomats as a poison pill, ex-general accused of human rights abuses, Prabowo Subianto remade his image as an affable grandpa to win over Indonesia's young electorate and is set to become the next president of Southeast Asia's biggest economy. The 72-year-old defense minister secured around 60% support, according to unofficial quick counts from multiple independent pollsters. That's more than the 50% needed to win Wednesday's vote outright and avoid a runoff that his backers feared could see victory slip from his grasp. The Election Commission will declare the official result in coming weeks.
This man has been accused of crimes against humanity, abducting pro-democracy activists, and falsely claiming victory in 2 elections.
The win marks a stunning turnaround for a 3-time presidential candidate with a reputation for being temperamental, pounding tables, and fiery nationalist speeches. Prabowo, the former son-in-law of Indonesia's late dictator Suharto, was fired from his post as lieutenant general in 1998 amid accusations of human rights abuses. He was accused of the abduction and disappearance of student activists during the pro-democracy protests that eventually led to Suharto's resignation. Prabowo also headed the Army's Special Forces Unit, Kopassus, and was accused of rights violations in the former province of East Timor. Prabowo has denied any wrongdoing, saying his missions were sanctioned by superiors.
Multi-billionaire Jeff Bezos has sold more of his shares in Amazon, bringing the total value of sales in recent days to more than $4 billion. The technology giant, which Mr. Bezos founded in 1994, said he has sold 24 million Amazon shares this month. Mr. Bezos, who is the firm's executive chair, last sold Amazon shares in 2021. Earlier this month, the company said he was planning to sell 50 million shares over the next year, which are worth around $8.4 billion at current prices. The first sale of 12 million shares was announced in a regular filing on Friday, followed by an announcement on Tuesday of the sale of another 12 million shares.
Mr. Bezos has also given away shares in Amazon as part of his philanthropy, most recently in 2022. As Mr. Bezos moved to Miami in Florida from Seattle and Washington last year, he will save around $280 million in tax on the $4 billion worth of stock he has sold. Gains above $250,000 from the sale of shares or other long-term investments are taxed at 7% in Washington state. Florida does not have state taxes on incomes or capital gains. However, he will still be liable to federal taxes as a result of selling the shares. When Mr. Bezos announced his move to Florida, it prompted speculation over whether it was because of a potential tax bill he would have faced in Washington after the state approved a new tax on large stock sales. His sales of Amazon shares come after they have risen by almost 70% in the past year.
On Wednesday, Ukraine claimed it has now disabled a third of Russia's Black Sea fleet after its military intelligence said it sank another Russian warship in a sea drone attack off the coast of Crimea. The Ukrainian military intelligence agency said on Telegram, Russia's landing ship Caesar Kunikov was attacked with Makarov V-5 drone that punctured critical holes on its left side before sinking. That aligned with Ukrainian claim last week that they had disabled about 33% of Russia's warship, amounting to 24 disabled ships and 1 submarine. Wednesday's attack was conducted by the agency's Group 13 Special Forces unit in cooperation with Ukraine's security and defense forces.
Nighttime footage provided by Ukraine showed a sea drone racing toward the Caesar Kunikov before a huge plume of smoke rose from the vessel. The Defense Intelligence of Ukraine said the ship had been moored for 10 days at a specialized berthing location where Russia could load it with weapons and military equipment. It also said the ship appeared to be loaded at the time of the attack. The Kremlin declined to comment on the reported attack. Wednesday's attack is the latest in a series of Ukrainian strikes on Russia's navy, as it tries to land both strategic and symbolic blows against Russian forces that annexed Crimea in 2014.
Myanmar's ruling military plans to call up young people for mandatory service starting in April and also required retired security personnel to serve. Media reports cited a junta spokesperson as saying, as the army struggles to crush an anti-junta insurgency. The Southeast Asian country has been in turmoil since the military seized power from an elected government in 2021 coup and planned by the junta to call up more people to fight point to the military being under growing pressure. Last Saturday, Myanmar's junta declared a law governing mandatory military service would be enforced for men aged 18 to 35 and women aged 18 to 27 for up to 2 years.
On Tuesday, it said this would begin in April. A law mandating conscription was introduced in 2010 but had not been enforced. The legislation says, those who fail to comply with the draft face up to 5 years in prison. The junta has not disclosed details about the military's strength, but analysts have said that it faces challenges in recruiting soldiers and has resorted to deploying non-combat personnel to the front line. Since October, the Tatmadaw, as the military is known, has suffered personnel losses while battling a coordinated offensive by an alliance of 3 ethnic minority insurgent groups, allied with pro-democracy fighters.
North Korea on Wednesday fired multiple cruise missiles into the sea in its 5th test of such weapons since January. South Korea's military said, expanding a streak in weapons demonstrations that is elevating tension in the region. South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff said the South Korean and U.S. militaries were analyzing the launches that were detected in waters northeast of the eastern coastal city of Wonsan. The South Korean military did not immediately provide the exact number of missiles fired or how far they flew. It was not immediately clear neither whether the missiles were fired from land or from sea assets.
Experts say North Korea is ramping up pressure on its rivals in an election year in South Korea and the United States with a long-term focus of forcing Washington to accept the idea of the North as a nuclear power and extract security and economic concessions from a position of strength. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has also been issuing belligerent statements toward South Korea, including a declaration that he would abandon the North's long-term objective of reconciliation with its war-divided rival and threatening to annihilate the South with nuclear weapons if provoked. There is concern in the South that Kim may up the ante with a direct military provocation, possibly around the disputed Western Sea boundary between the Koreas that has been the site of deadly naval skirmishes in past years.
The Chinese Year of the Dragon is widely perceived in the Asia-Pacific region to be an auspicious year to have babies, but it hasn't meant well for China's declining population. Dragon babies are expected to be successful in their careers and bring blessing to the family. In this zodiac cycle, those born between February 10, 2024 and January 28, 2025 will be classified as dragon babies. While people in China also hold these beliefs, birth rates in the country have actually fallen during the Dragon Year, compared with the preceding year in the zodiac calendar. Birth rates in China fell by more than 4% during 1988 and 2000, and by 9% in 2012, according to the country's Statistic Bureau. Birth rates refer to the number of babies born in a year per 1,000 people.
Contrastingly, there has been a discernible spike in birth rates in the past Dragon years in other parts of Asia, said Erica Tay, director of macro research at Maybank. For instance, Singapore's birth rates rose by 21% in 1988 and by 8% in 2000 and 2012. Tay warned, Asian folklore, however, may not be able to do much for China's falling birth rates, which could continue to drop quite precipitously. China's birth rates have seen a secular decline, falling to 6.39 per thousand in 2023 from 22.37 in 1988. China is unlikely to experience a distinct boost in births this year, largely due to the country's high youth unemployment and economic turmoil, according to Tianchun Xu, senior economist on China at the Economist Intelligence Unit.
Now let's delve into the news of Year of the Dragon doesn't bode well for China's declining population. Number 1, auspicious, 吉利的,吉祥的. His career as a playwright had an auspicious start. Number 2, precede, 发生在某事之前,先于. Intense negotiations between the main parties preceded the vote. Number 3, precipitous, 骤然的,陡峭的,草率的. The stock market's precipitous drop frightened foreign investors. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's it for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Wei Li, your host. I'll see you next time.